Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
Why are we using permanent marker and masking tape to label our kids' stuff? So we thought, oh, there's got to be something better out there, and there wasn't. So, as good mom entrepreneurs do, we created something that was dishwasher, microwave safe, highly personalized, and we could label all of our kids' belongings.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on visibility strategies for women entrepreneurs. If you want to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice and business, you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marcia Spurk, and I'm your host, professional singer and visibility strategist. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Marta. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, me too. We've been connected for a little while now on social media, and we got officially connected a few days ago or a few weeks ago. And I was like, you need to come on the show. So I'm super excited to learn more about you, your business, what you got going on. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
For sure. Okay, so my name is Julie Cole. I'm the co-founder of Mabel's Labels, which was a basement startup I started 23 years ago with 3 co-founders who were my sister and 2 friends from college. And it's been a wild ride. I mean, we were first to market a product. So, this came into fruition because there was a product missing from the market. And we were young moms and we were like, why are we using permanent marker and masking tape to label our kids' stuff? So we thought, oh, there's got to be something better out there. And there wasn't. So, as good mom entrepreneurs do, we created something that was dishwasher, microwave safe, highly personalized, and we could label all of our kids' belongings, like their bottles and their sippy cups and everything that went to daycare and school and camp and all that jazz. So that was us 23 years ago. And I suppose the other catalyst for me particularly was that my eldest child was diagnosed with autism, and I wanted to leave the traditional workforce for a life of a little bit more flexibility, which I thought entrepreneurship would bring me, and it did. And that's how Mabel's Labels started. And since then, it's been a wild ride, like we've grown, we've had all sorts of fun and lessons and journeys. Our kids have grown. I have 6 kids. I'm an author, a speaker. I do all the things. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell.
That is so amazing. Congratulations. And I so resonate with so many pieces of this, especially with being a mom, finding a need, right? The old entrepreneurial mindset and spirit, finding a need, not finding a solution the way you want for that need. And just
it's so true. I tell people all the time, they're like, how do you come up with an idea? I'm like, go through your day, find something that pisses you off and fix it.
There you go. That's perfect. I love that. Well, let's go back a little bit more because that story is so rich of, especially product-based businesses. Hats off all the time. Everything's hard, but because I'm not in the product-based business, it just seems even harder because of all the different nuances of it. Tell us more about, how you got started and with having business partners as well, because adds another layer.
For sure. And you're right. The whole product thing is a different animal entirely, right? So, when people say to me, wow, how am I going to start? I've got this idea. And it is tough, right? Because first of all, for us, again, bringing a product to market that didn't really exist. We had to find, and we didn't think it would be that hard to find a material to do what we wanted it to do, but it did. So it required a lot of testing because we know our market. We know that moms want stuff that works. Like that's our secret sauce. The labels stay on, right? And so we had things in our dishwasher for a year. We had to do like prototypes. And then it was like, okay, we've got to launch this thing. And remember this, Marta, this is like back in the day, we had an e-commerce business when people were still nervous about putting the Visa card into the computer machine, and this is like pre-social media and pre. But luckily, bringing a product to market that was for moms. You know, moms talk about products we love like it's our full-time job. So, you know, word of mom got around, and then once social media hit and the mom bloggers and the, you know, we were owning Facebook, we were owning all the places. So that really acted as a, you know, as a vehicle for word of mouth. So that's been brilliant. honestly, our customers have been our best brand ambassadors and word of mouth spreaders. And we are nothing without them, especially in those early days when we really, really relied on that, because, it's not like we could afford an ad in Parents Magazine or what, right? But yeah, so, bringing this product to market, testing it, a lot of R&D. And the thing too, and we don't have this problem so much, but a lot of people who have a product have to deal with a lot of inventory. So a lot of their money is caught up in inventory and in storage and in shipping, right? And of course, we have a nice small product, so we didn't have some of the shipping challenges that a lot of product people have, and also because we actually didn't make the product until the order was made, because parents would go online, that we didn't have a lot of money tied up in inventory. So there were some benefits, right? Like there were some, although there were lots of times it'd be like, wow, it'd be nice to pull something off a shelf and just put it in a box and send it off. But, it really did work well for us. But I you ask a great question about the whole partner thing, right? Yeah. Because even having one co-founder can feel cumbersome at times, and it can feel like, wow, we've got a lot to manage here. We've got very different personalities. And I do think with anything in your business, whether, you're hiring somebody, whether you're getting an accountant, whether you're doing a co-brand, whether it's a co-founder,
I think I lost you. I don't know if it's my connection. Julie, are you there?
Table. And we also had 4 different, or we had like somebody to spread the risk with, right? So, we were able to be like, okay, we got to pull in some money, but hey, we can divide this by 4 and we can divide and conquer. Okay, you research this. I'm going to research the market of moms. I'm going to do, so we could divide all that up too, which really, I think in those early days led to that early growth. And especially too, Marta, remember those days you couldn't listen to like people like you on podcasts sharing information and giving knowledge and building communities. So that slog of a solo entrepreneur could be very lonely. So another thing that we did provide for each other as a big partnership of the 4 of us was community. And, when you see it with solo entrepreneurs all the time, right? And the brain gremlins will lie to you. They'll tell you you're not good enough. Who do you think you are, thinking you can bring this to market? So if one of us had brain gremlins that were misbehaving, the other 3 could put them in line. So it was very, it was very good. But, to your point, lots of, feisty conversations, lots of ideas, lots of opinions, and, learning how to work together, learning how to communicate to make sure that we could be effective for the business, and getting coaching and help in those areas when you need it, because that can be a huge blind spot.
Absolutely. Ooh, I love that. I love the 2 sides of it, which is with everything, right? There are the advantages and disadvantages, but then you got to learn what works and just keep moving forward. That is awesome. I love that. Tell us what's behind the name. Why Mabel's Labels?
Oh gosh, it's so funny because I get asked this all the time and there's really no good story. We just wanted, from a branding perspective, we wanted something that would be memorable. We want to be able to create a character who was like embodied our feisty, fun, loving, and that was just Mabel. And we actually have like a Mabel costume and character who turns up at things. It's a riot. Yeah, so that's Mabel. But I have these 6 kids, and part of me is like, I should have just named one Mabel so I had a better story.
Yeah, that's true. I love that. That's so cool. Tell me more about building this thing with the kids, and the other ladies also have kids, I imagine. How has that been?
Yeah, it was mayhem, right? Chaos and caffeine. So yeah, in those early days, it was like just getting all together, kids in the basement, us making business plans during play dates and all that jazz. So it was pretty chaotic, but it was a lot of fun. And I know you tend to romanticize the past because it was also a very scary time, because we're like, is this thing going to work? And, we were doing without things. Like there was no, putting kids to bed and having a glass of wine and watching Netflix. It was like going in the basement and making labels till 2 a.m. and getting up and doing it all again. And that's why I laugh when people romanticize entrepreneurship and they think it's all TED Talks and book deals. And it's like, yeah, it looks a lot like being pregnant with your fourth kid and making labels till 2 a.m. So yeah, it was a fun time. It was a busy time. But another good thing about it was that if somebody was, say going to have a baby or somebody had a sick kid or whatever, we could tag team it. We understood it and we got how it worked. So there was that support there as well. But yeah, it was wild times. It was the Wild West around the Mabel's basement, I can tell you.
I bet. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Well, tell us about the evolution of the business then, and in developing other products and hiring out, right, and maybe figuring out ways of removing yourself a little bit more, because it didn't look like the basement for forever. It's not like that right now. So tell us more, especially for the people that are still in the throes of it, like something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it is important to remember, like I always reminded myself in those early days, because we'd be like, oh gosh, we have like 8 employees now. We don't know anything about HR. What are we going to do? So, we found consultants were, a small business's best friend. If you weren't ready to put somebody on payroll, or somebody, for finance, if you needed a fractional, you didn't need a full-time, or you needed a generalist. Like that's the thing too. Sometimes you need an HR person who can like write some silly policies, but then can also do a big hire for you, depending on the size of your company. So I think a really big skill is around common sense and knowing when it's time to get help. And I know it's very hard because it costs a lot of money to start a business and run a business, but there is this thing where you have to spend money to make money. And I see entrepreneurs do this all the time. They're going to spend a whole week doing their own taxes, and you don't do taxes. You don't know how to do taxes. You could hire somebody to do your taxes in 20 minutes, and then you can focus on what you need to be focusing on, which is building the business. Mm-hmm. So, making sure you put those hires in place, you're doing that business planning around it and doing things at the right time, and always checking back on your business plan and knowing when to step out. Look, I think it was easy for us, and I think it is easy for entrepreneurs to hire those worker bees. So the people who made the labels and packaged the labels. When you go to hire your managers, that's a bit hard, right? Because you're kind of a control freak. You're kind of like, this is my baby and I know how to do things. And, my way is the best way. And it's not. I mean, you need to hire people who have skill sets that you don't have. You need to leave your ego at the door. You need to not micromanage them, because that is not good for retention. You need to let them show what they can do, and you need to grow and learn from them. Mm-hmm. And, you need to know if you're spending so much time working in the business, you're not working on the business. Mm-hmm. And then there's not going to be that growth that needs to happen, and I say all the time, I haven't made a label in a decade, and I shouldn't. I should not know how to make a label, right? If I was still in a basement 23 years later making labels, there's a huge problem here, right? So you have to know when it's time to step away, to move on. And at the end of the day, this sounds very morbid, but I need to be able to step out after this podcast, get hit by a bus, and the business carry on just fine without me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make such a great point about, any kind of hire is tough when you're just getting started and when you're in the threshold of that specific moment in your business. But moving from just somebody to do the worker bee thing to somebody that's going to have a little bit more of control, that's tough. And then the other pieces as well, right? But we have to, if we're going to keep growing, we have to let go. And I love what you said. I haven't made a label in 10 years. And that's how it should be if you want to grow. So that is amazing. Tell us about the evolution for the personal brand, the Julie Cole brand, and publishing your book and being a speaker now. How has that been, especially since it is a partnership and you're not the face of the business necessarily, with it being,
Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be my next guest on the Empowered Woman podcast? Do you have a story you'd like to share? Want more visibility for your business on a show ranked in the top 0.5% in the world? Well, then head on over to martasburke.com/podcast guest for more information.
Well, I always have been the face of the business.
Okay.
Yeah. And that has been like, again, with 4 people, you do divide and conquer. And, very early on, they're like, Julie, you need to, we know our community, we know our moms, they want to feel connected to a brand.
Yeah.
Moms don't want to buy from a nameless, faceless brand.
Right.
That's why even like those early days of like the mom blogging, and I was doing the blogging, I wasn't blogging about labels. I was blogging about raising 6 kids and running a business and having a kid with autism or whatever, and it was about making those connections. And, I think especially now in these times of AI and knowing your market is, it's ever more important to be visible and be turning up and showing up and providing community and showing that you're a real person and you're just like them. And I think, there's a lot of research showing us now that CEOs and founders and entrepreneurs are the new influencers, the new content creators. That's what people want to hear from, and they want to see the real stuff. They want to see the mistakes you made. They want to see you in the basement. They want to see you packaging up your parcel and sending it off to a content creator with your fingers crossed that maybe they'll talk about it. They want to see that real behind the scenes. And that's it. It's not content creation, it's documentation, right? So we've always like kind of put me out there. So I've always done a lot of media and a lot of speaking and a lot of connecting, a lot of turning up at mom events. And it just it's very genuine. It's very authentic, and I'm not faking who I am. And that personal brand does evolve because, Marta, I'm not talking about diaper blowouts now because I'm not dealing with them, so I'm coming from a seasoned mom perspective, and it's not like, in the old days. And I think as personal brands evolve, you're not going to lose your people as long as you're transparent about it. And so it's working and it's great. And I'm still loving the work I do. Now, the other partners have exited. I'm the only one still remaining. Okay. So we've got a full-time general manager who's awesome, an incredible leader. And she was somebody we hired on contract like years ago to do a project for us. And she stayed with us. And that's another really like powerful thing when you start a company, is that you get to create a culture that you like, and you get to grow people, and you get to watch this happen. And like, I report to somebody, that we once hired on a contract, and I'm there for it.
Totally. Oh my gosh. That is so exciting. I love that. Congratulations on all of the growth. That is incredible. And for sticking it out, right? That's really what we congratulate ourselves for.
Honestly. And you know what, to your point earlier about the product, like, when we started Mabel's Labels 23 years ago, we had one label. It was like our large rectangle label. A parent could go on, put their kid's name, pick a little icon. And this was the dishwasher microwave safe label that would go on things. So that would go on the bottles, the sippy cups, the wipes container, now the school lunches, the Stanley cups, all that stuff. And then now, we've just got everything. We've got like several kinds of clothing labels. We've got, peel and stick that go directly on the fabric that go through the washing machine and dryer, tag mates that go on the tag. We've got stamp. We've got shoe labels. We've got allergy alerts. We've got combinations that are perfect for camp, for sleepaway camp, day camp, school, preschool, kindy, all of it. So it has just evolved over time. And it's been the innovation and the creativity that has kept us the market leader when, obviously other companies came around and tried to imitate, but, you stay the market leader by being the most innovative and creating great community.
That's amazing. So where can people find more about the labels specifically? What's the website?
So to find more about Mabel's Labels, you can go to our website, mabelslabels.com. And obviously, speaking of community, like, we're everywhere, right? Like, we're on Instagram, TikTok, all the places we love. That's so much. That's the fun part.
It is. Absolutely.
It really is. And it's good for business.
It is.
Both of it. It's like, it's fun and it helps you make money. Absolutely. So wait, like, this is just all good.
It is. It's amazing. Tell us about your book and the topics that you speak on for anyone interested in hearing more about you and the story.
Yeah. So it was kind of on the list, and the gals, like my co-founders, had put it like, Jules, you got to write a book at some point. So it was on the to-do list. And of course, raising all these babies and doing the business and all of that stuff, it just kind of, and then it was just kind of sitting there. And I was always a writer. I could always write. Like, I always, I did English as an undergrad before law school and all that jazz. But I like writing, and I was always blogging and writing articles, and that was short form. So when it came to doing the book, I was like, oh, this won't be so bad, but it was a little different, like these are lots of words, but I found a way that worked for me, and it was like doing topic and then dumping it into and then at the end puzzle piecing it together. Right. So the reason it did come about when it did, I think I published about 3 years ago, was because COVID hit. And, you saw at this time, Marta, like women were starting so many cool things, so many side hustles. And my book was a side hustle. Suddenly I wasn't flying, to Mom 2.0 to speak. I wasn't going to events. I was home, and, all the kids were home too. It was mayhem, but they were older too. Like, I had 2 kids who were at college who got sent home. So I was, I maybe had 2 still in grade school, whatever. It wasn't like I had a bunch of like 3-year-olds, which would have been misery.
That was me.
Oh, girl, I don't even know how. I have trauma thinking about, I have empathy trauma from that time for the young moms who were stuck at home and couldn't go to the park and couldn't get help and couldn't, oh my. So that was the time where I was like, look, if I don't do this now, well, I'm kind of basically grounded.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen. So made good use of that time. And the book came out, and it's called Like a Mother, Birthing Businesses, Babies, and a Life Beyond Labels. And it tells the Mabel's Labels story, and it is jam-packed with just my life hacks, mom hacks, and business hacks. So it's great for sort of anyone. It's an easy read. I'm a funny guy. But there's actual great takeaways too. So, it's been a lot of fun. It's done very well. And, it's often, I find, I just did a lot of speaking for International Women's Day, and often the organizers would buy, copies for the audience, which was so nice. And they got to go home with a little something. So it's been a blast.
Yeah, that is
amazing.
Done.
And it's done. I can't,
you did.
Girl, you have no idea. When you hand that in and you're like, it's like writing that final exam of your degree or whatever, and just being like, oh, the weight off your shoulders is like nothing else you experience.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is amazing. And I love the play on words there, Beyond Labels too.
Right?
The name of the book again, and they can find it on Amazon, all the places.
Yeah, they can find it in all the places. And also, if you go to mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole, that's where you can kind of find the stuff about me and my media kit and order the book. But yeah, it's in all the places, and it's called Like a Mother, Birthing Businesses, Babies, and a Life Beyond Labels.
That is so cool. I love that. And I resonate with it so much with the business.
Oh, with 3 little ones, girl, you would. You know it.
It's a lot. Oh, this is so good. Well, thank you for being an inspiration. Congratulations on all your success. Before I let you go, I like asking all of my guests my $1 million question. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. Okay, serve it up.
Julie, what is an empowered woman to you?
Oh, an empowered woman. I think it is a woman who, loves herself, loves what she does, doesn't listen to what society is projecting on her. She knows that having it all is having what she wants.
That's deep. I love that. She decides.
Very deep. She decides, because that's the thing. We're getting chirped at. We're scrolling. We're seeing things, expectations. Nope. And you know what? And that's why I'm like, I'm not this imposter syndrome stuff, guys. I mean, you know what? You've done the work.
Yes.
You don't need to have people are like, Julie, do you have imposter syndrome? I'm like, no, I did the stuff. I was there. And you guys were all there too. So when those brain gremlins start telling you, you don't deserve a seat at the table, you deserve, just grab a fold up chair and pull one up. You deserve it.
Absolutely. I love the brain gremlins too. Cause they come, but
they're naughty.
Yeah, they are naughty. We need to learn how to deal with them. I love that. Well,
we do need to remember that they do lie to us. And that's why we need to talk. We need our community. We need to listen to people like you. We need to talk to people when it's starting to go in our brain. We need our people to go to reassure us, right?
Yeah. And back to your point, we have such an advantage right now with being able to connect with people from all over the world, so fast, so easily. So that we don't just sit there with those gremlins and let them destroy us and defeat us. We can keep going. Yay. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. We'll put all the information in the show notes. I hope people will connect with you. And I'm excited to stay connected myself as well.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me, Marta.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.